once again, it's Backpack and hello and welcome here in the Egyptian Museum in Tahrir Square. Talking about the museum in general, actually the most important part that I would like to concentrate on today is talking about the Old Kingdom, talking about the ancient history and talking about the Old Kingdom and the important figures of the Old Kingdom. Well, right now I'm standing in one of the most important parts or sites here inside. I'm standing right in front of King Zoser. We're going to find out more about him and more about why he is one of the most famous pharaohs during this era.
The Egyptian Museum is home to an extensive collection of ancient Egyptian antiquities. People come from all over the world to explore Egypt, to learn more about ancient civilization, and for sure the Egyptian Museum is one of the best sites to learn all about ancient history and civilization. The museum is designed in the neoclassical style. It boasts about 107 halls filled with artifacts dating from the prehistoric through the Roman periods, with the majority of the collection focused on the Pharaonic era. The museum houses approximately 160,000 objects, covering 5,000 years of Egypt's past history. The Old Kingdom is the name given to the period in the 3rd millennium BC, when Egypt attained its first continuous peak of civilization in complexity and achievement. most commonly regarded as the period from the 3rd dynasty through to the 6th dynasty. During the Old Kingdom, the king of Egypt, not called the Pharaoh until the New Kingdom, became a living god who ruled absolutely and could demand the services and wealth of his subjects. Under King Djoser, the first king of the 3rd dynasty of the Old Kingdom, the royal capital of Egypt was moved to Memphis, where Djoser established his court. A new era of building was initiated at Saqqara under his reign, and visiting the Great Pyramids alone is not enough. The tour must include the founder of the idea and the first pyramid, how it was built and how did it look like.
Talking about ancient history, culture, civilization, this time I want to talk more about prominent pharaohs, figures who played major role in ancient history. And I believe that we are standing by one of the most important pharaohs, right?
Yes, welcome, Nashwa. First, ancient Egyptian history started with the unification between Upper and Lower Egypt, about 3200 BC. Finished by the conquest of Alexander the Great, 332 BC. In all this period, more than 3,000 years, we have some kings and queens, very, very famous kings and queens. One of those kings is King Djoser, or Djeser, or Nefertret, like we called him. His statue in front of us, statue of King Djoser. Why he considered as one of the most important kings? First, he's the owner of the first pyramid and the ancient pyramid in Egypt and all the world, the step pyramid of King Djoser at Saqqara. In his period lived the genius architect Imhotep, or Imhotep. He is coming in peace. Return again for King Djoser, why he considered also as a famous one, owner of the first pyramid, the pyramid of King Djoser at Saqqara. They mentioned his name in Turin papyrus. Between all the kings of all the kingdoms, they mentioned his name in red color. So it means that he was so important. His name also, Nefertret, the divine body, is because they considered the king as son of God in the land or in the earth. So when we speak about King Djoser, we speak also about famous king that the ancient Egyptian scribe mentioned his name was founder of the 5th dynasty and founder of the 5th dynasty, and the Maniton called him like the first king of Memphis between all the kings. So he returned with his period more than the 3rd dynasty. King Djoser, they found this famous statue to the north of his pyramid at Saqqara. in Sirdab. Sirdab is a room only with two holes in front of his eyes to allow to him to see the stars of the north. Also, this statue, the first statue in the shape are also the same size of the king from the beginning of the third dynasty, about 2780 BC. King Zoser was son of King Kha Sekhemwi, and his mother was Ni Ma'it Hab. If he was a son of a king and his mother Ni Ma'it Hab, why they started a new period with him? Why they started a new dynasty for him? Because he was so important. So they mentioned his name in red color between all the names of all the kingdom. This also Manetun, how he considered him, and also the ancient Egyptian scribe when he wrote his name between with the founder of the fourth, with the founder of the fifth and the sixth dynasty. So it means that he was the founder of the third dynasty and old kingdom.
Well, whenever we talk about King Zoser, the first thing that will come to the mind of anyone will be, of course, the pyramid. But do we have something else to learn about him? I mean, his era, how was he acting? Something famous about him, just as you mentioned. Definitely he was, I believe that he's the first one to start the idea of the royal tombs, of course, or the idea of the pyramids as well.
Sure, that the importance that he started, or Imhotep, the genius architect, started to construct the step pyramid, the first pyramid in his period. But also when we look for another one who lived in his period, like Imhotep, he interesting with astronomy. He was scribe, he was high priest, he was a doctor, he was an engineer, he was architect. He was many things that they, in the late period, they considered Imhotep as a god. So this is the first time to see a man not from the royal family. They considered him as a god, and for him they made a sanctuary inside the temple of goddess Isis in Philae. This statue also in front of us of King Zoser, made out of painted limestone, represented him with some of the royal emblem. But here you can see the eyes were inlaid. Maybe they were stolen, they were inlaid with semi or precious stone or with precious stone, but they were stolen or maybe lost with the time. And also you can see the first time to see the king with the royal emblem like the headdress Nemes above the wig. Usually they represented him with a wig or with the Nemes or the headdress, but here they represented with both. You can notice that a light mustache, maybe the first time for a statue who belongs to a king to represent him with a mustache, light mustache we can notice in this statue of King Zoser. Also, you can see the beard is a long one, it reached to the tummy, but it is halfly broken. So also how they represented him with his shape. If we were together title in hieroglyphic down, they mentioned Nesu Biti, king of Upper and Lower Egypt. They mentioned Nepti, belongs to the two ladies, the two goddesses, goddess Nekmet, the vulture, and goddess Wajid, the cobra. And then they mentioned his name Nefriget. It means the divine body of the king. So this is some of the hieroglyphic writing in the beginning of third dynasty. They wrote it from right to left, because hieroglyphic we can write from right to left, from left to right, from top to bottom, but never from bottom to the top.
It is one of the great importance to shed the light on the founders of the concept of building the pyramids. King Djoser's architect Imhotep is credited with the development of building with stone and with conception of the new architectural form, the step pyramid. Indeed, the Old Kingdom is perhaps best known for the large number of pyramids constructed at the time as pharaonic burial places. And for this reason, the Old Kingdom is frequently referred to as the Age of the Pyramids.
Talking about the prominent figures who excelled in different fields during the era of King Zoser, we all know, of course, about Imhotep. Imhotep is very famous, just as you mentioned. I believe he's the only one to be not of the royal family, yet they believe that he's half god, because talking about him, whether we're talking about being a doctor, being an expert in astronomy, in many, many different fields, actually, he was really genius. But I believe we have more during the era of King Zoser, right?
Yeah, we have more because everything established was King Zoser. Maybe by the end of the second dynasty, it was a problem. So when he came, everything was established. So they mentioned his name in red color between all the kings of old kingdom. So it means that everything was established and considered him as half God, and also his name Nethret or Nethriget, it means the divine body. Also the period of King Zoser, when we speak about Imhotep, not from the royal family, but he considered not as half God, he considered as a god and god of medicine. Imhotep in the late period. So this is something strange also.
Even more than a pharaoh.
He wasn't a pharaoh, he wasn't from the royal family, but he considered as a god. Till in the Greek Roman period also he considered as a god, and mixed between him and the god of medicine in Greece. Also from this period of King Zoser, they reached to the top of everything, because here we can see the chief of dentist. So not only a doctor, Hissi Ra, that they found his tomb at Saqqara. And in this also they represented him in different ages. And in his titles, they mentioned that he was a scribe, he was the first or the greatest one of the 10. We don't know the 10 high priests, the 10 dentists, the 10 scribe, but he was the first one. He had also many titles, and this also from the period of Zoser. They represented him in different, you can see, and we can notice the face, that he represented him as a young, as a man, and then as old man. And also we can see the school of art of Memphis and all the kingdom in this period. And in this hieroglyphic, when we see a word like one of the title of him were Sesh, the greatest scribe, or the chief of scribe. Also how they represented the word Shes with all the emblems that he will need with the tent, and also with a feather, everything, and they represented that in his shoulder. Also, like Zoser, when they represented him with light mustache, they represented Hissi Ra here with right mustache. But when we will see the face, you can notice the details of everything in his body.
During Djoser's reign, agriculture, trade, architecture, the arts, and Egypt's civil administration and their state theology all flourished. And this construction focus was complemented by Djoser's support for the arts. The portraits and carvings of King Djoser illustrate the rise in the importance of the arts during this time and its continued advancement under his patronage. Djoser's rule, Egypt's religion evolved and became more organized and sophisticated politically, and scholars believe the relocation northward of Egypt's capital was finished during Djoser's reign. The respect of his people during his reign and centuries after his death. The throne, he immediately started with the construction of his building projects. And the age of King Djoser was full of achievements, and it witnessed many events, including the construction of architectural monuments, agricultural developments, trade, and the rise of the cities. He also succeeded in securing the country, which helped in preserving the stability of Egypt in his reign.
So today we talked about the Old Kingdom, but still we have more to talk about. When you are here in the Egyptian Museum, wherever you are going to stand, you are going to move around, you will find more about different eras and more about different pharaohs. As I mentioned, now we are standing in a place where we were talking about the Old Kingdom, but next time we'll be back to bring you more about the New Kingdom and more about important pharaohs or figures who played a major role in ancient history. Till we meet again, thank you for joining us, and remember, next week, same time and more on Backpack.